Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool arcade game repair video for you this evening. You guys probably haven't ever heard of this game, but it came out in 1980. It's called Pac-Man. This is an original one, obviously, but you don't see them too much anymore that still have their yellow side art on them. What happened was Miss Pac-Man came out the next year, and you could easily turn your Pac-Man into a Miss Pac-Man and save a bunch of money. You just swap a couple chips on the board, change the marquee, and a lot of operators would paint over the side art, or later on they'll kit it into a totally different game, Capcom Bowling or something like that. But anyway, I picked this up a few days ago. I actually got a pretty good bit of stuff, like this baby here. Got both of those, the Pac-Man, the Miss Pac-Man, and a couple Galagas. But anyway, I'm going to try to, I kind of already know what's wrong with it. You know, I haven't really messed with it at all, but I already know what's wrong with it. It's broke. So I'm going to take the back door of it off and see what we got going on. Alright, so I got a story for you actually before I forget about it. People seem to like our stories. So this happened yesterday. So a guy comes in. He's sold us some stuff before, video game stuff, you know, Super Nintendo games, something like that. So he comes in yesterday, says he's got an old game. Would we be interested in it? And I'm trying to figure out what the heck he's talking about. He says it's old, before electronics. And at first I was like, no, I don't really think I'm interested in it, because you know I know it's probably going to be junk when he brings it in. So I can't quite figure out what the heck he's got. Whenever I think of a 1920s game, I think of something like this. And you know, we've heard all this before. So eventually I tell him to go ahead and bring it back, because I'm curious at this point. And I know it's going to be cheap, whatever it is, you know. I can get a good deal on it if it's anything good. So he said he'd be back in a little bit. So I'm thinking, you know, he might come back with something like this. That's a 1920s, 1930s old pinball machine or something you put on the counter. And then, you know, other people, every time somebody mentions something like that, I also think of, you know, maybe they got an old pachinko machine or something, you know. So he comes back in about an hour, and this is what he brings me. Are you ready? Get ready. You sitting down? He comes in the door with this. And it looks like it's been sitting outside for, you know, 5 years. So all the wood is gray. There's mold and mildew all over it. And I almost started laughing right in his face. But the thing about it was, I don't think he was trying to scam me or anything like that. I think he really thought it was old. Back before electricity, he said, 1920s. So he started to open up the flaps, you know, after I told him I wasn't interested. Oh, it's got all this stuff on it. Look at this. And he started flipping all this stuff around. And it was hilarious. I wish I would have took a picture of it. Or I could have just bought it from him so I could show you guys the actual one. But, you know, if I would have bought it from him, then he would have been bringing me junk like this every day. But anyway, back to the Pac-Man machine. Look what they did to me. Come on now. They took the monitor board out of it. How dare them? You know what we call them? We call them part swappers. They don't fix anything. They just swap parts. It probably had a pretty good Geo7 in it, and they had another game that was broke. So they took the monitor out of this one and put it in the other one, and they fixed it. But all they really did was swap a part. So that leads me to believe that the game board is probably bad, because you wouldn't take the monitor out of a working game. Well, most people wouldn't anyway. But anyway, it looks pretty clean inside. It's got some, there's the schematics. They were knee deep in it, looks like. Maybe the game board works and they took the monitor out to try to fix it and it never happened. Maybe that's what happened. What do you think? Think we should plug it in? You can start at the wall. Come on now. Start at the wall. It'll be fine. I was just being dramatic. Just bend it back a little bit. Alright, I'm going to see if I can plug it in. And we'll see if we can hear it do anything. Normally you would check these fuses too. You could, you start at the wall, follow it in, make sure you're getting 120 to there. Then you check your voltages all the way across. You can check them across the fuses. But I'm gonna skip all that and just plug it in and see if I can hear the Pac-Man. Pac. We've got one light bulb working. It lights up. Probably just a fuse or a bulb. Hi. Oh. And see how these are flipped over? And these are blacked out. And these are gone. That leads me to believe it's on free play. What do you think? Is it going to work? Winning. They got me. So, it appears that the game board's working. It could have some glitches and stuff once I get a monitor in it. But I need a Geo7 monitor chassis to put in there. I think I might know where there's some is. Some are. Let's go back this way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another one back there. There's some more hiding in there somewhere. There's 3 more there. A couple more down there. Anyway, Geo7 is pretty much the most common arcade monitor. So I've already got one picked out over here. I like the looks of. Doesn't look like it's been worked on in a long time. It's got the original flyback in it. Original caps. Nobody's messed with it too much. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to change the flyback, change all the capacitors. I'm going to change this width coil here, reflow some stuff, do all the normal things, put it back in there, and we'll see what happens. I've got a couple of G07 flybacks. These are 7000s. Alright, I got the monitor back in, I got everything hooked up. But the video, it looked like somebody's been messing with it. I'm not even sure what they were trying to do, but all the wires are in the wrong order. So I'm going to redo that the way it's supposed to be. But let's just see if we've got anything on the screen. I probably should have fixed the power cord and the power switch first, but I haven't yet. Let's see. Get rid of my high there. Alright, so it looks like the monitor is working now. I always say I'm going to have to tune it and adjust it. But let me fix that video connector. Alright, I got my new connector on. We'll see if that helps us any. Alright, it looks like it's actually playing. But we need a little bit of an adjustment. So we got to go vertical height, because the monitor is actually in there sideways. So let's try that. I think I'm going to start a game so I can see the maze. Well, actually, I can't see nothing. You're going to have to tell me. Tell me when it's wide enough. Is it getting any bigger? How's that look? Need a little bit more, I think. That work? All right, let's turn down the brightness. All right, so now I'm going to adjust the colors. A lot of people get like a test point generator and all that stuff. But all you really need is a black screen. And you turn up the red as far as you can until it's overdriven, and then you just turn it back down to the screen's black. So I'm going to do that on the red, the green, and the blue. See how it's a little too blue now? Alright, so just turn it back down to its black. Now we're going to do the next color. That's green, so now we're going to turn the green back down to its black. Alright, now we're going to do red. And if you got them adjusted right, you should have a white screen whenever you turn up the brightness. See how that's nice and white, grayish? If you had too much of one color, it'd be, purple or too green or whatever. So now I'm just going to turn down the brightness, and now I know all my colors are doing all they can do. The blue was actually pretty low. I turned it quite a bit. Let's see if the focus will get any better. About as good as the focus gets. All right. And we've also got to do, see how the maze is bigger on this side than it is over here? It's easy to tell on a game like Pac-Man, but that means your vertical linearity is off. So now I got to adjust that. Maybe a little more. That's pretty close. Go here more. Alright, I think that's close enough. Usually Ronnie's here and he tells me, I can't see nothing. You guys aren't helping me. You're supposed to be yelling at the screen. Alright, so obviously I need to come down with the picture, so that's next. Can't even see the high score hardly. I think I'm about to come in with the width coil a little bit. Remember, I put a new width coil in it. So I'm too wide, so I gotta adjust that in. But we're looking pretty good. Haven't even cleaned the tube or anything yet, and I haven't even degoused it. It's a little degoused over there in the corner. But I think we got a pretty good tube. Alright, so I'm going to take off the bezel, clean the tube, get everything nice and clean, and put it all back together. Why do you think they put that piece of tape there? Probably to keep the door from opening when you move it, wouldn't you think? The door's locked. Come on now, people. I broke into it. Alright. So I've been trying to show you stuff that people have been asking me that to me it's not a very big deal, but people ask me questions like this all the time. How do you get into the glass? How do you take off the control panel? So you have to reach your hand up through the coin door. And there's a latch on the left side and then another one on the right side. And it's like that on pretty much all games. Miss Pac-Man and Galaga have one in the middle. And this just lifts up out of there. Then you got a Molex connector here you can unplug. This whole thing comes off so you can work on it, clean the glass, whatever you want to do. And Pac-Man doesn't have a lip here. Miss Pac-Man, it's a lot easier to get out. So you kind of got to finagle it a little bit. This glass comes out of there. And then there's another tinted piece. A lot of people call this the monitor shroud. Just goes around the monitor. And it's tinted on Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, a lot of the Midway games. And that'll hide a lot of the burn. See, it looked like a really nice monitor with no burn in with that on there. But once you take it off, you can actually see the burn in. This one's not very bad compared to a lot of them. But again, look how nice it looks with the tint on it. Look at that, top of the line. And I haven't even cleaned it. So anyway, I'm going to clean that up, get it all back together. Alright, I got all that put back together. What do you think's next? Think we should change the T-molding? We always change the T-molding, I was just kidding. So I start back here, and I just take a regular screwdriver, and then you just kind of pull it off there. It's easier when you're not holding the camera. And once you get it like that, you tilt the game up, hold the camera in your right hand, step on it like that, and it'll pop off. See that? Almost like I've done that before, huh? I've had a lot of these. I would tell you how many, but you wouldn't believe me. Alright, then you get your new T-molding. Start at the back, obviously. And whenever you get your old rubber mallet that you bought 25 years ago, and then when you get to a corner, you got to cut that barb off on the inside with a razor blade. Then you just go along. Try not to hit it like every, if you go along every few inches, you don't want that. You want it as flat as you can get it. So when you get to this corner again, now you're going to have to cut the inside off again with a razor blade. Then you go along, you go along, you go along. Then you notch it a little bit here, and then you go along, you're going along. Do it down at the bottom, and you wrap it, about that much under the cabinet. You'll see. Alright. Now I'm going to change the marquee bulbs. Yes, I said bulbs. There's 2 bulbs in there. I always do that after I put the T-molding on, because back in the day I would, I'd get in a hurry. Oh, I want to get the marquee light working. Then you put your T-molding on, and whenever you're pounding the T-molding in, it'll blow the light bulb sometimes. So there's just 3 screws on the top bracket. What they did, they put the yellow bulbs in for Pac-Man, I guess. Pac. Maybe it's just loose. How did I know it was loose? What do you think? Should I just leave them? I don't know. I don't think I like the yellow. Had to let that one cool down a little bit. It was a little hot. Why didn't you guys do this earlier? Because we didn't put the T-molding on yet. That's why. I done told you. Yeah, so Pac-Man and Galaxian actually had just regular light bulb fixtures. Run two regular bulb sockets up there. And then by the time Miss Pac-Man and Galaga came along, I guess they decided it'd be cheaper just to put in a fluorescent bulb. Or maybe there was more. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. What do you think? think it looks pretty good. For being from 1980, it's in pretty good shape, really. It's got some wear and tear here and there. You know what they say, it's only original once. You could get a new marquee and a new bezel and all that if you wanted to, but it's in pretty good shape overall. Alright, well, I got T-molding on. Marquee working. So now I'm just going to do a couple minor things. I'm going to put a new lock on it. I'm going to flip these over just because I think they look ridiculous upside down. And I've got to go through. I'm going to burn some new ROM chips. If this is for your house, you could just leave those if you wanted and address it later. But you got to remember, I'm selling these at retail prices. So I got to try to do the best I can to make sure this thing's going to work for as long as possible. You know, if I sell this to some rich guy and this ROM dies a week later, he's not going to know. He's not going to have a ROM burner. He's going to be calling me wanting to know what the heck happened. So I'm going to reburn these ROMs, clean all the chips. I'm going to secure this back in place. And that's going to be about it. I'm going to clean it up a little bit more. Maybe tweak a few things. But let's do that. Alright, another thing we always do is we always put new leg levelers on all the machines that we sell. And you can tell this one's actually been, a lot of times these will be rusted and these won't even move. This one's had a pretty good life apparently. But there's a couple reasons that we do this. You may be thinking, well, that's the bottom, who cares? Yeah, well, there's two scenarios here. Scenario number one, I have to deliver this machine to somebody's house here locally. And see that? See all that right there? If I deliver this to somebody's house and they got hardwood floors and they start scooting that thing around, or I do it when I'm delivering it and I scratch up their floor, you know, I'm in trouble. Alright? So let's say they pick the game up in our other scenario. Well, they're going to come up and we're going to load it in the bed of the truck on its back, and then they're going to see all this nastiness on the bottom. They're going to see all these feet and all that dirt and grime, and and at that point they've already paid for it and it's already in the bed of their truck, and you don't really want them thinking, man, this thing might be a piece of junk. You kind of want it, you know, have them a good feeling about it, you know. When they're driving off, they're thinking they got a really good Pac-Man machine, which they did if they bought it from us. Had a lot of Pac-Man machines and Miss Pac-Man, and you're not really going to see too many of them with the bottom of them in that good a shape. I got lucky on that one. Alright, we got it all finished up. I think I did all I can do to it within reason. I mean, obviously you can work on it. You could do some more stuff to it. You could change the marquee, you could put a new bezel on it. But you've probably heard us say this before. you've got to make them 8s. You can't make them 10s. If you're a hobbyist and this is your personal machine, you can make it a 10. And what I mean by that is I can make it an 8 and sell it. Or I could make it a 10 and sell it. But the difference, the time it would take me to make it a 8 to a 10 and the money involved, I'd never recoup. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? I heard you out there. I heard Simon. Simon understands. I think Mike, yeah, that's Mike in the back. Yeah, he understands. By the time you pay for all those new parts and the time it's going to take you to put them in there, you're never going to get that back, really. You might get a little bit more than you'd get out of it being an 8. But I'd rather just sell it as an 8 and move on. And if you try to make every little thing perfect, you're kind of attracting the wrong client. Because if they find one, if you're advertising it as a perfect Pac-Man machine and they come in and find one scratch on it, then they're going to want a discount. I'd rather just make it an 8. It'll have a little bit of wear on it here and there. You'll get somebody that just wants a cool Pac-Man machine that wants to play it. They don't care if it's perfect. They just want it to work good. And it does. But anyway, that's it for today. Thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. Thanks for using our Amazon links. You can find links at the bottom in the description of this video. And if anything you buy on Amazon, after you click the link, will give us a tip. And that really helps, We'll get a percentage here and a percentage there, and at the end of the month, it helps us. So we appreciate everybody that does that. And you might want to check out our brother Donnie's channel. It's called My Brother Donnie. He does old buildings and cars and all that type of stuff. He's got a farm. Not video game related though. But if you're into farming and old cars and old buildings, you might have a good time over there. So check that out. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.